They called me invisible, not with their words, but with their eyes. I was the maid who slipped between penthouse rooms at the Mirage Bay Hotel, pushing a cart loaded with fresh towels and forgotten dreams. No one asked for my name. No one cared that I spoke 5 languages or that I read Dutch poetry during my lunch breaks in the service hallway. To them, I was just another black girl in a cleaning uniform. Polite, silent, forgettable. But that all changed the day my phone rang. I wasn't supposed to answer it, not while working. But it was my little brother, panicking about his school forms. I picked up and replied instinctively, in perfect Dutch, "Hello, met Liana." I didn't notice the man in the tailored shirt standing behind me. He wasn't just any guest. He was a millionaire. And the moment he heard me speak, everything shifted. He asked to see me, not out of entitlement, not like others had, but out of genuine curiosity. That one moment, a voice, a sentence, a language spoken in confidence, opened a door I didn't even know existed. Within weeks, I was no longer folding towels and scrubbing floors. I was advising billion-dollar deals, translating not just words but worlds. This is the story of how a forgotten maid became the voice behind a multi-million-dollar empire, because she dared to answer a call in her mother tongue, and because someone, for the first time, truly listened. They called me the ghost in the hallway, not because I was quiet, though I was, but because people barely noticed me. I was the one who pushed the cleaning cart through the marble corridors of the 5-star Mirage Bay Hotel in Amsterdam. The rooms sparkled because of me. The mini bars stayed stocked, the linens fresh. Yet to the guests, I was invisible. My name is Liana. I was born in Suriname but raised in the Netherlands. Fluent in Dutch, English, and 3 Creole dialects, I had a mind for languages and a heart trained to keep secrets. I didn't tell people I once wanted to be a linguist or that I read Dutch poetry on the tram ride to work. My uniform erased all of that. All they saw was the brown skin, the maid's cart, and the quiet compliance. Until that call. It was a late Tuesday morning, and I was working on the presidential suite floor, 43rd level. Most guests on that floor stayed no more than 2 nights. But that day, Suite 4301 had been booked for an entire week by someone they referred to as Mr. Rowan. I didn't know who he was, and I didn't care. My job was simple: knock twice, clean quietly, leave without being remembered. I had just stepped out of room 4305 when my old Nokia phone rang, a device I kept on silent only for emergencies. But that morning I forgot to mute it. The ringtone pierced the plush hallway silence. I fumbled to answer, heart racing, and softly said, "Hello, met Liana." The voice on the other end replied quickly in Dutch. It was my little brother, panicking about his school registration form. I answered back, my voice calm but fast, trying to help him fix the problem. I didn't realize anyone was listening. When I turned around, a tall man stood near the door of 4301. He wasn't wearing hotel slippers or robes. No, he wore tailored slacks, no tie, a crisp shirt, and the kind of silence that made people nervous. His eyes didn't move from me. I instinctively lowered my gaze and muttered, "Sorry, sir." I began pushing my cart. Then he said in perfect Dutch, "Je spreekt het vloeiend." Prachtig accent. You speak it fluently. Beautiful accent. I froze. Very few guests noticed my voice, let alone complimented it in my mother tongue. He continued, switching to English. "I'd like to speak with you. Properly. May I invite you in for a tea? Just 10 minutes. I stared at him, stunned. "I promise," he said gently. "This is not inappropriate. I overheard your Dutch, and I have a question. About identity." I hesitated. Housekeeping wasn't allowed into a guest's room unless it was for cleaning or room service. But something in his tone wasn't demanding. It was curious, human. Against my better judgment, I nodded. He opened the door to Suite 4301 and stepped aside. I parked the cart beside the wall and entered slowly. The suite was massive, twice the size of my apartment. The air smelled of bergamot and new money. "I'm Rowan Harper," he said, offering his hand. "You?" "Liana," I replied, my voice low. We sat. He poured tea, Earl Grey, the fancy kind, and then looked at me like I was a riddle. You're not Dutch by skin, he said, but your tongue is unmistakable. That kind of fluency doesn't come from textbooks. I explained I was born in Paramaribo, but moved at age 5. My mother was a nurse. My father a school teacher. Both dead now. I cleaned rooms to pay for my brother's education and to save for a language degree I'd been dreaming of for years. He listened. No pity in his eyes. Just attention. Then he told me why he'd asked me in. I'm here for a merger, he said. Tech company in The Hague. They're Dutch-owned, and I've been struggling with the culture. The language barrier isn't just words. It's rhythm. Nuance. I nodded. Yes, Dutch is a door, but you also need to know where to knock. He smiled. Exactly. Then he said the words that changed my life. Would you work for me? I blinked. Excuse me? I need a cultural advisor, a translator, someone who understands the unspoken things. You have that. I can feel it. I'm just a maid. Number. You're a diamond in a uniform. I laughed awkwardly, but he was serious. He offered me his business card. Sleek, silver, the kind that feels heavier than it should. I'll double whatever you make here. Start tomorrow. Just meet me for lunch. My team doesn't know I'm doing this, but I trust my instinct. I didn't sleep that night. The next day I took the tram to the address he gave. A sleek building with mirrored windows. I wore the best thing I owned, a second-hand navy dress and a wool coat. My hands shook as I pressed the elevator button. When I walked in, his assistant raised an eyebrow, but Rowan emerged quickly and smiled. Ah, Liana, he said like we'd known each other for years. Come, let me introduce you. That day I sat in on meetings, quietly noting translations, catching miscommunications, and gently whispering corrections. I didn't speak unless asked, but when I did, the room paused. By the end of the day, Rowan looked at me and said, "You just saved us a $4.3 million mistake." I blinked. You noticed that their lawyer's phrasing was conditional, not committed? My team missed it. I didn't even remember it. I had just listened. He smiled. You're not working in hotels anymore. In a week, I had a contract. In a month, I had an apartment paid for by the firm. In 3 months, I was flying to Switzerland to help Rowan navigate another deal. But what stayed with me wasn't the money or the passport stamps. It was what Rowan told me on a balcony in Geneva. People talk about talent rising, but they don't talk about how it often stays buried, unless someone's listening. I asked him why he took that risk on me. He shrugged. Because you didn't hide your voice. You answered the call. In every sense. Years later, I would speak at a global women's forum. I told my story, standing tall in a midnight blue suit tailored just for me. The hall was silent when I said, "They saw a maid." He heard a voice, and the world changed. Not because I shouted, but because I answered. In Dutch and somewhere in the front row, Rowan Harper nodded, just once, as if to say, "I told you so."